Hi everybody, and welcome to the first of the process videos. We're discussing the beginning of the process book here and the first two sections. So if you have not already watched the other video by Professor Henke about using the template for creating a process book, go back and do that first, and then this will look pretty familiar to you. We're using that same template here to help you understand what a basic layout looks like and the different parts that you need to include and how to make the most really out of InDesign as a tool for this. So we start here with the cover, and this is just a made-up project, so we're calling it a logo design. This is the process book, and this is the project. This is a made-up person, a made-up class, and professor, etc. But you would put all of this information in here according to you and the class that you're in and the project that you're working on. We want it to be very specific. And you should really have a process book for each and every project that you do in this Bellevue University graphic design program. All right, so moving on, we're going to take a look here at page 2, and that includes the very first section, which is initial questions. Now, before you start asking questions on a project, couple of things you want to do. You want to read the information about the project, what's required, what are the parameters, and perhaps you want to write a creative brief that can help you with this section here too. If you do those things, you may want to include sections prior to this and add in additional pages. You can do that in here. That's all in the other process video, but simple process to create a new page and tuck it in wherever you want it and apply whatever master page to it that you want to. So you can have those things in there first. Now, for every project, initial questions are put into a discussion board thread, and everybody has to come up with at least one question. And that question should be about anything that you don't understand about the project, or just a general question about the project itself. So one of the things that's helpful with initial questions is that you're going to be reading everybody else's questions and the answers that they get. So these are just questions that I made up, but in a real project, you can include questions that someone else has written and gotten answers to if you find them helpful. That's really what this whole section is for, is to put in as many questions and answers as you can so that you've got all of the information that you need to get started. Since this is a logo project, I wanted to know who the client was and what they needed and what they intended to use the logo for. So those are some basic questions. If they have any specifications about it, anything that they want in particular. Those are things that you would be asking a client. In this case, for a course, you're going to be asking the instructor. Once those questions are posted, you're going to get answers and you want to put them in here. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. And this is a really vital, important section. This is written research. And we've changed the name of this just a little bit from before. We used to call it just research, but we want to distinguish between this and the next section, which we're also renaming. So this is written research. It's all writing. For research, you want to think of absolutely everything that you can possibly think of about a project that you don't understand or might need more information on. So for this, I came up with a whole bunch of different questions relating to a logo. And to the client in particular that I'm designing this for. So all of this information, for the most part, was gathered online. What are some tips for designing a good logo? This is a good place to start for a project. So I went online, I found a whole bunch of information. Don't put URLs in here. Don't copy and paste information from a website or from a book. You want to summarize what you found and what you found most helpful. This section is about what you have found out, not what you're going to find out or not where you can find it. So hopefully that's clear. This should be a summary of all of the research that you've done. One of the things that I had to look up was, what really is involved in tailoring and what are some of the tools that they use, because it's not something I'm terribly familiar with. So those are some things that I've added in here. And as I continue to add more things, I could certainly go beyond one page. Again, you know how to do that. You know how to copy and paste. This is all threaded, right? So I can copy and I can paste new sections in here. If I'm just writing something, and I need to change what this looks like so that it matches a question, that's all under my character styles. So I can change that to match this section here. Obviously that needs to be changed to all caps, but you get the idea. So the information is here, and if you need to add a new page and you need to apply those same styles so that it looks the same, which you do, you can do that. So the research can be quite lengthy in that it's covering a wide range of things. If you're doing a project that, let's say it's a poster, and one of the things that is included in the parameters of the assignment is to utilize a grid. If you've never used a grid before, you may need to look up how to use a grid or how to apply a grid or good grid applications. However you want to search it, find some information on that. So if it's specifically about the project or sort of a tangential piece of it, that's fine. You want to look for as much of that information as you possibly can so that we can fit that in here. Now, one other important part of this is that after you've done the research, you're going to get some feedback. And we're going to include a section or a separate section after each section. So after your written research, you're going to include feedback and reflection as a section. The feedback, you're going to go ahead and grab peer comments straight from Blackboard. You can just copy them and paste them in here. You don't need to include names. You can. It doesn't really matter. But you want to identify these some peer comments. Include all of them too. Now, obviously, this isn't a real project, and I'm not really getting feedback, so I just made some things up in here. Fortunately for myself, I made it up so that I didn't have anybody telling me I needed to do more research. But should you get that kind of feedback saying, great job, but you needed to look at a couple other things, then you would reflect on that saying, okay, I got some feedback saying I did this well, but clearly I needed to do a little bit more of this. After you've done that reflection, then the very next thing you're going to do is add in an additional page with additional written research. Okay, we want that research to be really, really thorough because it's going to basically pave the path, guide us through the rest of the process book. And good, solid research is going to mean a much better end product. We'll talk about the second section next, so stay tuned for that next video.